I'm going to go live on Facebook, and I hope that this works. It's have to say that it's not 100% reliable, but we just have to do what we can. Where's it gone? Yeah. Oh, the spinning wheel of death. Oh, don't, yeah, no, I'm on Chrome. It should behave. Sorry, Terry, hopefully it'll. Oh my gosh, it's not. I'm just going to try one thing and just go on a different. Not that will necessarily help. I think everyone's doing this now, so it's just going to hotspot it.
That's not true because I'm not doing it.
Okay, look. I'll try once again and see if it'll behave. Come on. Please be good. Please be good. Still that spinning wheel of death, which is not. I don't know how I can. Okay, look, it's preparing. When it kicks in, I'll get it to be good if it does. Okay, so good morning, Terence Baxter. Welcome.
That's me.
Welcome.
Great to be with you.
Happy to be with you in the Inspire meeting. So, Terence.
I already feel inspired.
Excellent, excellent. So what I'd like to start with is a power pose. So what it is your arms up in a V, head up, eyes shut, big deep breath in, blow it out hard. Big deep breath in, blow it out hard. Big deep breath in, blow it out hard. Relax your shoulders, bring arms down and leave your chest up. Beautiful. Oh, I wish everyone could do this because it just looks so good. So, Mr. Terence Baxter.
That's me.
Could you share with us a silver lining or something beautiful that's happened because of the lockdown?
Silver lining. It's a hard thing because when you're in the middle of so many things that the world sees as a disaster, silver linings don't always jump out. But for me personally, you kind of know how busy I am and what my schedule normally looks like. I have a raft of international travel and a whole lot more domestic travel that happens for me as the CEO. The silver lining for me is I've just had nearly 3 months at home, and that's like gold to me. Being at home and being with my wife. The real silver lining for me was this year, my wife and I celebrated our 39th wedding anniversary. And in my original schedule, that was going to happen with me in Thailand and her in Melbourne. But it turned out that we were both here in Melbourne and we had that time together. So that's the most special thing for me. And the silver lining is just that time for me. For the organisation, mobile mission maintenance is a disparate organisation around Australia. We don't really collect together too often. But when we do get together, it's usually a time when we can connect, and we hold a monthly prayer fellowship for our organisation, for our mission. And finding new ways to do that, one of the silver linings is my national prayer coordinator that I have, Robin, said, "Look, we're going to do this on Zoom." And I thought, "Oh, this will be interesting because we have a lot of our volunteers are aged and they're beyond 65 and they commit a lot of time to us." And I thought this will be interesting to see how it goes. And we had people from instead of just having them from Melbourne in our office in Melbourne, we had them from all over Australia. And it was the most fantastic time. People we didn't even know, people we couldn't see on screen because they joined because they don't have a camera or a microphone on their computer, but they could hear us, so they just joined in. And that was one of the great silver linings for us, that the different ways that we can connect as an organisation. I've got to say, nothing beats being there with people. I'm a very tactile person, as you might know. And so, the greetings, the hugs and the air kisses and everything, that's me. But not being able to do that, that's the grey bit around the silver lining for me, is not being able to do that. But the real silver lining is finding different ways to connect and finding new people that can connect like that.
Beautiful, beautiful. And Terry, can I ask you, who is a person who has truly inspired you, and how has that happened?
Look, I did think about this a lot because there are a lot of people and you can name people, but the one person that stands out for me, and I wish everybody could say this, is my pastor. Wayne is an amazing guy. He's not only is my pastor, he's also the national leader of our denomination. But he's the most humblest of guys. But he inspires me because he lives what he teaches, and we put out an appeal because obviously in the middle of this, as a not-for-profit organisation, we've really been impacted by the inability to do fundraising. All of our fundraising events were cancelled. Our major fundraising month was March, and guess what? We were down. Talk about percentages. We were down nearly 60%. So I sent out the appeal letter, and we sent it out with a whole bunch of things and emails and everything else, a whole campaign. Of all the people that received it, the very first person that responded, and one of the largest donations, was my pastor. And when I rang him to thank him personally, he said, "Hey, look, mate, that means a lot." He said, "Look, I just needed, as soon as I knew you had a need, that was things." So he inspires me because he leads by example and not by teaching. Does that make sense?
Beautiful. Yes, it's that authenticity and alignment of values and words, actions, and thoughts as well.
I think when you're in business, as a sidelight to that thing, when you're in business, when you're reacting and interacting with people and organisations, it's really, really, really easy to spot the fakes, the people that are going through the whole exercise, because that's what you do. This is the sales routine that we go through, and you just go da 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 da, and you find the genuine ones come in and they'll say, "Now, what do you need? How can we help you?" And they're really, so finding those people in organisations is critical. But as a shining example, my pastor is fabulous.
I love it. I love it. And Terry, can you tell me could you describe for me a time when you had to reinvent yourself, and if you could describe your life before and after the reinvention?
Oh, sure. Look, one of the things, and people that know me will know my life and what I've done. At one stage, I was pastoring a church in the southeastern suburbs of Melbourne. And for me personally, what I do isn't important. Why I'm doing it's important. And let me explain that, because if I don't explain it, it'll sound a bit strange. But whether I'm the senior minister of a church or whether I'm cutting grass on a golf course is irrelevant to me. What's relevant is, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I doing what I believe God's called me to do? And so as a senior minister of a church, I felt really challenged, and I spoke with my wife about it. and said, look, I don't believe this is what God wants us to do now. And to step out of that was like, I'd been, pastoring a church for 7 years. And we really felt this was quite strange, but this is what God was calling us to do, and something different in ministry. And so I spoke with my national leadership and said, hey, listen, this is what we're feeling. And they said, yep, this is right. And I had to basically leave something that was my vocation that I did every day and get up and go and say, well, what do I do? Because what I did in ministry was different than what I do in business. And to totally go back and reinvent yourself. I was in the IT industry before I went into ministry, and 7 years out of the IT industry is like an eternity. And so you have to reinvent. And reinvent isn't something new. It's reinventing it. For me, it was going back to what did I do before? How did I do it? And I was just staggered, because for me, I was on a promise from God that if I did this, I'd be, he would fund my ministry. And 4 weeks after leaving the church, I ended up working for one of the largest organisations in the world, and they paid me an embarrassing amount of money to do what I did. And I just, that was the catalyst for me. So, but I had to reinvent myself in terms of, you've got to get up every day, you've got to go to work, you've got to be motivated. Not that I wasn't motivated when I was at the church, but it's a whole different environment. So for me, that was a major thing. And I think career changes is a time when people really do need to reinvent themselves, particularly not just if it's a change from one company to another, but a vocational change from something that's totally different. You really have to think about, how do I approach this? What are the key drivers that I've got to, get to make this successful? How do I meet the challenges? How do I identify the challenges? What's the next step? How do I do what this organisation's asking me to do? Because I've never done this before. So, it's one thing to have a job change, but a vocational change is the time when you really have to reinvent yourself. And it's difficult, but it's a challenge too, and I thrived on.
Yeah, I think that'll be really helpful for people, because there are so many people who are going to need to or just want to. So I think that's really helpful. And Terry, you did mention to me that you are in the process of writing a book. What's that about?
Oh, thanks for the unsolicited question. I believe everybody's got one book in them, at least one book, and for me, it's been a challenge to identify the fact that your calling is much more important than your position. And so the book, for want of a title at the moment, is called "It's Okay to Be Second." And it's about what it means to be the second man in an organisation, what it means to not be the boss, but to do something that makes a significant impact and supports the vision and mission of the organisation that you're working for. It doesn't matter whether it's a church or a missions organisation or a business. You can be good at what you do. You can be the best at what you do. Without having to be the CEO. And trust me, as a CEO, it's not all it's cracked up to be. People don't see the stresses and the sleepless nights and everything that CEOs have. But I ended up as a CEO because I felt I was called to do it by God. And so that's why I'm comfortable doing it. Not that I ever wanted to be one. It's just, I was happy to be the associate pastor in a church. I was happy to be the service manager, not the managing director of IT companies. I was happy to be the general manager and not the managing director type of thing. And so that's what it's about. And for me, there's some scriptural principles behind it. But there's a lot of business process and principles in it as well. So I'm about that far through that much of writing. So
yeah, I think that'll be very inspiring to people to make a difference where you're at, and to not focus on the title, the money, the status. Really, and I think we're noticing this now, where the heroes are the nurses,
yep,
and people who are caring for people. So I think that, and maybe a big appreciation for teachers and what they're really doing for our kids. And so I think it's a great message for now, because it really is all about make a difference where you're at here now and who you are now.
Well, the thing I've found is that you'll never be comfortable in your role if you're always aspiring to do something higher or better, because you'll always feel inadequate. If you realise that, you know, one of the companies I worked for was a global data storage company, the biggest in the world. There are guys still working there that are doing what they did when I was there, because that's what they know they love to do, and that's where they feel they're called to do. They work crazy, ridiculous hours in the middle of the night doing changes in high-end businesses. But they love it. They just do it, and that's what they see, and they know that what they do makes a difference for their organisation and their clients, and they're comfortable in it.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for spending the morning with me, and God bless you. And Mr. Terence Baxter, have an awesome day.
Thanks, Dale.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.